Hello, I'm Alan,
I'm Rebecca.
and if you're listening to this, then we recommend that you check out our podcast, the DCAU Podcast, where we watch the original DC animated movies, starting from Batman Mask of the Phantasm and continuing on to Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, and beyond. And we will cover such heroes as Batman,
Superman,
the Batman,
Wonder Woman,
Victorian Steampunk Batman,
The Flash,
Batman Beyond,
Green Lantern,
Old Man Batman,
Martian Manhunter.
and plenty more versions of Batman.
Lots and lots and lots of Batman.
You can find the DCAU podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you can get podcasts by looking up the DCAU podcast and subscribe today.
See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify, get helpful stats, and all the support you need to sound your very best.
This is Jed MacKay, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Hello, yes, welcome back, loony listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 337, and we are returning with a creator chat. First of all, you're with your high priest, Rebecca. How are you?
Good, awake. That's all you're getting from me at this time of day.
In the wee hours of the poor Rebecca, she always cops the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
But very, very grateful to have you, Rebecca, as well, and more so not more so, just as grateful. Yeah, nice.
Careful.
just, just as grateful, and awesome to return back to the show. Jed MacKay, how you going?
I'm very well. I'm glad to be back with the High Priest of KHONSHU here in the temple.
No worries. How did you feel about hearing yourself intro the show? I was thinking of asking you again to maybe just do it properly, but
I was very startled actually. I was like, what the fuck? But
who is that? Why are they talking?
Yeah,
When did I say that? Yeah.
So that wonderfully resonant voice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So, listeners, we are so blessed, praise KHONSHU, to have Jed back with us. And what we'll be doing, we have had Jed back a few times before. We do go through like a retrospective. So what we'll do is we'll go through. We're a little bit behind.
Yeah, we'll do quite quick. We're not going to take too long on each of them, I think.
No, just maybe an hour each. So Moon Knight 19.
It's going to sound like yesterday's work meeting. So
Yeah.
So Moon Knight issues 19 to 26. We're going to test Jed's memory here as well, because Jed, you've written like a gazillion stories since then.
It's been a while, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. And on top of that, since as of this recording, it has just dropped. We're going to have a little look into Moon Knight, the annual issue 1 of 2023. It's part of Contest of Chaos.
Moon Knight Annual 1, 2.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah,
Moon Knight Annual 1, part of Contest of Chaos.
Yeah, they can't stop themselves at being number 1. They're wild for it.
Probably one of the biggest problems I have with comic numbering is when annuals get these number 1 and then number 1 again, and then so issue zeros are like my
I mean, don't look at me. It said Annual 2 on the script that I wrote. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was a bit perplexed as well. But then again, just pause. Okay, number 1.
It's it's the industry we all love.
Yeah. It's not as if we're not used to it. So it's just like I didn't even you just say, oh yeah, okay, it's another annual 1 or a one-off that also got like the Marvel 1000 one, Marvel Age 1, and they never get to 2. So
and I wrote 2 timeless number 1s.
Right. I guess that's
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
great example of, and I'm sure this year's will also be
It's
timeless number
I think
one.
it's also going to be timeless number one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
They
deja
can't get
vu.
over themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deja vu must be a big thing amongst you writers. and
it makes it hard to keep things straight sometimes.
Well, in keeping with that theme of you're taking you on a bit of a ride here, Jed.
All right.
Let's get into. We're going to go back to issue 19. I mean, we're waiting for 27, which is actually next week, I believe. But we left off with you last time with issue 18. So let me just chuck this on. So we have issue 19 here. So I guess it'd be fun to just learn, Jed, anything that was interesting whilst you were writing it. What we thought to let you know directly. We, the loonies, as well, thought of it. I thought it would be fun to just go through it. So 19 is called Blood Moon Rising. Now, of course, it shows it on the cover. Commodore Planet was a big one.
Well done.
Got everyone very excited. Yeah.
It was time. It was time.
Always time.
I think a non-zero number of people who weren't familiar with the Commodore were like, "Why is Moon Knight fighting a bellboy?" Or like, just egregiously misinterpreting his uniform. But yeah, like that was. It's funny because it's slightly less than a year ago I wrote that issue now, because I wrote most of it in the airport flying to New York for New York Comic Con last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great. I'm sitting in the airport, just tip tapping away, and it's all kind of coming together. Yeah. But yeah, we wanted to. I knew we had the issues to do, another kind of big 12-issue arc. We did a big 12-issue arc with Zodiac. We did 6 issues with Structure, and then they said, okay, well you got the space. You can get plan for 12 issues and plan ahead. So this is where we kind of began to lay the tracks for what was going to come. Ways that I don't think were readily apparent at first. This is all kind of like
no, definitely not. Yeah.
As I realized, because I think someone has called every issue of Moon Knight since 19 a filler issue. Like one person is called it's
wow.
It's it's frustrating, but all these things do come together. Like this is not
I
can't think of anything this month, so screw it. Well, we'll throw the Moloids in there or whatever.
Yeah.
It was fun. Got the Moloids in there, and we started to kind of lay some stakes, because this is where we find out Resurrection's off the table.
Yeah.
This is also where we find out that there's perhaps something not quite right with our friend Hunter's Moon. And then there's stuff going on, like what Donnie Planet is up to doesn't happen in a vacuum. I think actually next week we'll find out what is going on there.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, because we learned in 25 that him digging holes under the earth was for a purpose. Next week, 26, next week, 27, we're going to see what that purpose was.
Cool. Yeah, no, it really baffles me as well how, what you just said about it being labeled 19 onwards as filler or whatever, because there are really every issue. Look, I did a little, Rebecca's got the prom sheet as well. I just did a little summary because I just wanted little prompt notes as to refresh my memory.
It actually really does show the through line.
In each and every one of them, there's a little, there's at least something that will connect and will carry through. So
it's kind of...
I'd urge readers again, give it a reread.
It's fine. I'm not saying there's one person out there saying every issue is filler, but every issue, one person, like someone, not the same person, is like, oh, this is a fine filler issue. I'm like, it's not a filler issue. It's just a story that resolves one issue and has things to continue moving forward.
Exactly.
But again, that's the business. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but so that was right. That was a big thing here with issue 19 about learning, because first off, Hunter's Moon or Moon Knight, they're both talking to each other and they're going, well, if this thing happens about resurrection, how come there's only 2 of us? And then later we see, we understand that KHONSHU is incarcerated. He can't enact that
Do the
resurrection.
resurrections, yeah.
Mhm.
So
yeah,
pretty cool.
we see the cost of resurrection, because that was something that I think. Hold on a sec. Oh no, the coyote's going crazy outside. Fairly early on when I was working on Moon Knight, I'm like, okay, well, we have this idea that there's this legacy of Fists of KHONSHU, and like the only superpower they seem to have is that they don't die, and yet there's a whole bunch of dead Fists of KHONSHU. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what happens here? Like, I really had to kind of like square that. So this is in this issue, kind of like, okay, well, here's why.
But it's also a relatively modern problem, isn't it? Because there's not been so many times that we've gone like it's only been like in recent years. I think that everyone's had this like the old Fist of KHONSHU.
Yes.
Which is I mean, I guess one of the things that people love about your run is that you're tackling some of these little knots that have just come up and just sort of how can that fit in the wider sort of thing, and making it part of the whole I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Tapestry of where you're heading towards. Yes. Yeah.
I was thinking of a more religious version of that, but
yeah, sure. A canon, so to speak. I guess that's also a comic book term, not just a religious term, but whatever. Because the first time we see like the Moon Knight as a mantle or legacy mantle, was that Moon Knight annual where he fights Kang?
Yeah, I think so. Or
Serpent. It's early as Bemis. Bemis's second issue. Issue 1189.
Oh, yeah.
We have the Cowboy Moon Knight and everything.
Yes, the Cowboy Moon Knight. Yeah.
But that was after the Cullen Bunn Moon Knight, wasn't it? Because Cullen Bunn took over after Brian Wood, right?
Yeah. But Cullen Bunn came. He came back later on to do the annual.
Oh, okay. So that annual wasn't part of his Moon Knight. Okay.
No, it was quite recent. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not great with the chronology, but okay. So that was from Bemis. Okay, gotcha.
But I was thinking of the Cullen Bunn one. But yeah, you're right. Bemis did start it with the Cowboy.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. A real derail there.
Yeah. No worries. So also as well, just one other note I've got here as well. In that issue, we have Plesko and Zodiac sitting down, talking to each other. We have a bit more of Plesko, and that kind of rears its head even further with issue 20, the Kill List.
Yes.
Now the big thing here is we get the Shadow. Jed, what is it? Shadow Cabinet, Shadow Keep? How come there were two terms? I never get them.
Shadow Keep is where he lived, and that was his HQ. Right. And the Shadow Cabinet were his crew. Yeah, his cabinet is a group of people, not cabinet as like a cupboard. Yeah. The shadow cupboard wouldn't be like a super great headquarters for Moon Knight.
Exactly. Yes, but this is cool, Jet, because we get them all targeted, and we get the Harlequin Hitmen. Again, I'm interested to know, are they new? I can't remember. Or did you?
No, they are Speedball villains.
The Speedball villains.
I think they're actually OG like Ditko creations.
Yes.
Right. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of had them in my back pocket for a while because, like it was great because like Ditko would draw gangsters, but they'd be wearing like trilbies and suits and ties. And there's just something I thought was like very fun about that, and to bring one of those characters back and then with weird masks and stuff. I guess two of them with sharing the same identity.
I actually have those Speedball issues.
Bizarre. Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like look, I've got hairball tattooed on me, so there's a connection.
But it was fun to bring them back because I was like, well, these are kind of like weirdos, but also you got to find a really specific use for them because ostensibly they're just a guy and a lady each with a gun,
Yeah.
So you have to frame it in a way because normally that's not really something that gives Moon Knight pause. He can, he puts down guys or ladies with guns all the time. So it becomes one of those situations where it's that they're not there to cause a physical challenge to Moon Knight, but they're there to attack people who Moon Knight is failing to protect. And that's kind of like, part of his whole thing where he's
protection.
Well, he's the protector of travelers at night, but also these are people who were linked to him. And, he's relatively certain that, well, I guess, no, Black Spectre said it in 25, he killed all these people to get at Moon Knight. because that's what the Black Spectre likes to see.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting use of them as well. I remember, Rebecca, when we did cover this, or in the lead up to it, we were kind of baffled as to who this person was on the front cover, and but I'm loving these callbacks, and again, we'll see it throughout in the issues to come. Many obscure characters, which is fun, really fun to kind of find out.
Old pals,
old pals.
It's always nice.
Yeah. A couple of things here, Rebecca. I know you appreciate it from this issue. Lesser stakes, but Mark actually putting on the moustache, I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, that
the beloved moment.
I love the fake mustache. I think it's not just a joke. Like, I think it really works, but it's also a great joke. The same. It's the reverse again of I guess, was it 14 when. Jake's like, well, I'm gonna let Mark handle this one, and then he takes off the mustache and he's Mark's character.
That was so good.
And then here it's like, obviously he's got like he's got a utility pouch or something where he keeps his mustache when Jake has to take over.
Yeah, he's a little hairy caterpillar. It's just something that you've addressed that I guess has always been on Moon Knight fans' minds, because even back to the Mensch days, it's like, oh, he's got a mustache now, and like you never really see him like take it on and off, but it's fake because it just is.
Well,
right?
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah, but it's just so funny actually seeing like it come off. I don't know.
It's so good.
It's fun. It's not something I think it's a joke that only works if you don't specifically call it out in dialogue. It's just something that happens and no one remarks on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other big thing as well, we're starting to get a lot more development with 8-Ball himself. This
is 8-Ball in the tub, isn't it?
This is 8-Ball in the tub.
Yeah.
Oh man, Alison did such a good job with that.
It's such a good job. I had a lot of fun editing it into like film shots of people.
Oh, okay.
I'll bet, sure.
You know which one, right? But like, I'm not going to go back there. But yeah.
Why not keep your 8-Ball helmet on, when you're taking a bath? It's great. But Moon Knight's there to use him as an informant, and of course threaten him, bully him.
For like no particular reason either.
It's a very different dynamic for a sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Next we have issue 21. It's called Let's Dance, and this is really cool because this starts to veer. This 21 and 22, we get a bit more of his support network, which is really cool. So 21 is basically Reese retelling what had happened, I guess, previously that evening, and it's focused on her and Soldier, and of course we have Jake because of the moustache,
of course.
But the reveal again Sarnak, and I remember one of friends of the show, Russell, called out Sarnak from seeing him. I thought it was Mr. I mean, because it's hard to say. Yeah, Mr. Fear, I think was his name. Yeah, he looked like that. But again, interesting concept here. Sound as a control weapon. So we're starting to again harking back to what we mentioned before about the threads running through. We're slowly, climbing the ladder, getting there.
We're laying the track.
Yeah. What I found really cool was the vampire aspects of it, though, Jed. Reese being shooted by Blade, so that was pretty cool. Was there any, considerations you needed to take? I guess, he's very fleeting in this, but utilizing Blade?
Not really, because Blade's not a guy who's super busy comic-wise. Blade did not at the time have his own series, I don't think. I think maybe Bloodline was going on that time.
Oh,
so,
could have. Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of scheduling conflicts where we'd be like, oh no, Blade's in space, or or like Blade's dead, or
exactly.
the usual problems when you're dealing with like, oh, can I put Iron Man in this? I'm like, well, Iron Man's been in space for 6 months, and it's a big
or the current ones with Iron Man is all like he pops up everywhere else, and you'll hear all the Iron Man fans on Twitter go, well, actually, he's penniless at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is it's currently a really it keeps happening. It's like people going to Iron Man for money, and everyone else go, but actually, he's got no money.
Yeah, he's living in like a warehouse somewhere. Things have been better.
Yeah.
But sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no worries. I was just saying as well. With the vampire angle as well, being tutored by Blade Reese. And again, I love the focus on Reese. We start to get even more of her development. Like she can master, or she has a good hold on the vampiric abilities. Most importantly, or to note, is the mist thing, which I think was a really cool description that you had in it about how Blade was saying, look, if you don't do it properly, if you don't focus, you could just dissipate and off you go.
Yeah,
So
which was terrifying. But great.
Yeah, and that's like that was one of those things kind of happened while I was writing it, because I was just like trying to think of dialogue for that like 1-page scene. I'm like, well, Blade's not going to be too broken up if there's one less vampire in the world, just by instinct. Even though Reese is by all accounts a lovely vampire. But yeah, like thought it was time for Reese, to have an issue, to have a viewpoint issue, because we've been going along it like. I'm always hesitant to get too far away from the main character early on, because that's people aren't comfortable enough yet for it. I think even putting Hunter's Moon in the 4 in issue 8, I think, I think it was hard for some people, because it was still, before we even hit 10, and switching out the main character for an issue. Even though like that was because of Devil's Reign, like that wasn't me being capricious. It was just kind of like, okay, well, here's the state of things. What can we do with this? And I was very happy. I think it's one of my favorite issues.
I love that. Yeah, it was really good.
So now that we've been going on for a certain period of time, like, okay, well now everyone.
And also, I mean, like saying the soldier development as well, and like getting a bit more of an insight into him, because that was cool too.
Yeah, I mean, he I like Soldier a lot, but he was not a character who had a huge amount of depth. It's nice to get a bit of interiority for him, and it's nice to put Reese in the foreground. It's also nice too because since number 1 we don't have Mark's thought captions, or Jake or Steven, just because we don't have Moon Knight's thought captions, and that's kind of a hard and fast rule for when I'm writing the book. So it's nice to swap out the main character so that we actually can have some, and just kind of change the way we tell a story for a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. It was nice to get Reese out there and get her perspective on life or unlife, really.
Yeah. Can I ask as well? Are there any plans to down the track or in the coming issues for more, like not necessarily whole issues, but more real kind of adventures from Reese or Soldier?
I mean, you'll have to see.
Okay, sure enough. Excellent. I'll interpret that in my own way. Okay, cool. So 21 was great, and this I thought again the art was really good.
I feel like the art's always been good. So
I specifically asked Alessandro if he could. For like the club scene, do all the like the music sound effects himself and like put them right in the art as opposed to overlaying them in the lettering. So I thought it would just look like a lot more organic and a lot more real, and just have more of a sense of the sound, which I think came from Paul Pope doing 100%, where these like super loud, super raucous club scenes with the sound effects being part of the art. Yeah. He did such a good job interpreting that like huge pain in the ass ask. It's like, hey, you know how you're doing your job? Can you do some of the letterer's job too? That would be super.
It reminded me of whether it was intentional or not. It was great because of Blade, and just it reminded me of the opening scene of Blade.
Oh yeah, the blood rave.
Context.
Yeah. I actually didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, it was really cool, and just the thought of sound and having Sarnak up on the DJ podium was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, that's the idea that Reese would go to like a club or a rave or whatever, what do you want to call it, and Sarnak would take over the DJ booth, one I had in my pocket for a while.
Okay.
And I was like, this could be like a good backup, or like a good annual or something. But then I was like, well, no, with this plan that I'm putting together, this slots right in. So I was like, okay, we'll just make a whole issue of it. Yeah,
no, it was really good. And in keeping kind of with that that theme, so if you move on to issue 22, which is again one of my favorites, it is Tigra and sorry, Rebecca, Greer.
Yeah.
I see the compromise.
Already my head's going Tigra.
Yeah,
exactly. They should just call it Tigra, like the whole.
That's
name.
what I call her now, but like now I do switch back to.
But this was great. I really enjoyed this. Not only do we get a more of an insight into Greer and her son William, but the bait and switch with Midnight Man was I thought really cool. And Mark, and not only that, but the outcome of that, because this is another prime example of Mark just not thinking or not being considerate to his close friends. And
It's
she certainly
giving him
is,
a nice prod that you've got to start trusting people, and
there's more to life than just the mission. Well, the job, I guess.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And he very much admits that. I mean, I was flicking through the pages as well, and you can see him just admit basically that again he was wrong in doing that. We also, again, this ties into the fact that for those that have been reading the whole run, Zodiac has kind of emptied out Mark's accounts, and so there's a reason why he's doing this, and he has to keep. He's got people, a congregation now to take care of Reese and Soldier. So, again, I thought that was pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, this Midnight Man angle, I think, was supposed to be issue, I think 6 or 5 back in my original outline.
Oh wow! Jeez.
Yeah, I think we were going to lay in the Midnight Man stuff really early on. I think the original plan was Midnight Man was robbing the Magia and stuff like that. And the local Magia Don comes to the Midnight Mission. He's like, hey, this is to Midnight. He's like, hey, this is your guy, so you got to handle this. And it becomes a thing where Moon Knight eventually has to tell his friends listen, it's me, I'm the Moon Knight, the Midnight Man, etc. But it didn't work out just because the way the Zodiac structuring was going on. So again, it's one of those things you just kind of put in your pocket down the line. Then I was able to do it in a way that I thought was much more interesting by focusing on Tiger and having the Midnight Man stuff be kind of the end result of her investigation of her story.
Yeah, great. I mean, and also as well, I just can't help but think and ask Jed, because you mentioned previously how you were writing some of the scripts in the airport between destinations. You mentioned in an earlier episode you wrote, I think you were at your in-laws or something. Apart from obviously writing at the desk in your workspace, where else do you kind of find yourself writing, just getting ideas and writing down? Do you have you been anywhere else, like supermarket?
No. Ideas will kind of come anywhere. The actual writing is just generally in that chair for the most part.
Okay.
I've got a desk set up with a chair and a setup, but ultimately I just keep going back to my chair because it's where I've been writing since I started writing comics. But I definitely know that I don't remember if I wrote it there, but I definitely thought this one out at my father-in-law's place in Birmingham. Okay. So I was like, okay, I think this is starting to come together in my head. And then of course, the ending, putting Mark and Greer together, and because for a while I was like, I don't know, do I want to put these two together? Is that a good idea? And then I read that Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood that Chris Campbell and Alex Lins did that I really liked. That had had them together at the end. I was like, well, that's really cute. So I'll go with that. Yeah. That's fine. So they kind of made the decision for me. I was like, no, I really like that. I think that's nice.
Yeah, that was one of
I'm glad. It was one of my long-term predictions. So thank you for that.
Well, that's the thing. I
don't often get anything to tick off, and I make them very randomly. I just go, what could happen?
Oh, for sure.
Let's just throw it out. I'm not very competitive about getting predictions right, but I did laugh because I was like, hooray, that's one.
Yeah, well, because like I said, until I sat down and planned this out and write it, I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. I was like, do they get together at the end or not? I'm like, does that make sense? Is it weird? Or but ultimately, I think it worked. I was happy with it, and it was fun to do a Tigra POV episode.
Yeah, always fun.
Nah,
really good. How her, her claws are always like wrecking her CDs and her records and like the floor.
Yeah. I love that. There's a little cool. I can't remember it now off the top of my head, but there was she was talking about there's a movie or something. It was an 80s flick from a VHS. Anyway, I just thought it was a good little call out too.
Oh yeah, because all she has is tapes because she can't I mean, obviously she can stream, sure, but she can't use DVDs because they scratch the shit out of the discs. And tapes are cheap. You get like a dozen tapes for like $1.
Yeah.
So they're watching I guess 80s children's movies with William.
Yes, yeah, it was fun to have William in there. I mean, too, that was just really cool, and it just a really nice ending, considering the conversation they have on that rooftop. Just prior.
And I think it's kind of something that we needed to address with Tigra because it's, I don't know, like it's that kind of this like the circumstance of William's birth is pretty screwed up, and I don't think it's ever really been addressed in any way.
That's right.
So I was like, well, let's kind of clear the air a bit here, and see how this character feels about all this, and how she's living with it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I forgot to mention that was called Instinct. So issue 22 there, and again, so what we will see, of course, it hasn't been revealed yet. It gets revealed in issue 24 about the big bad, but we're starting to get it was fun to get Midnight Man because we were kind of speculating the loonies as to when we'll see, the classic villains. So this was kind of, if I got that right, this was kind of the start of it. Yep. Commodore Planet. Sorry, of course, as well.
But this is
back as well.
I mean, more of the, as much as we all love Commodore Planet, he's not like Midnight Man or Morpheus.
Exactly, no.
He wishes he was.
Yes. I don't know. I think he's quite happy with his lot in life.
Yeah, maybe.
with the Moloids. So we move on to 23. This is Panic Room, and again we return to Sarnak. We return to appearing or confronting Sarnak. But what I found was really interesting. He was the nice, the parallels were touched upon between is it Dylan Brock, Dylan Brock and Mark, and he comes to the Midnight Mission. But what we do see is, we see another couple of deep dives with the new enforcers, which is cool again.
Yeah. Web of Spider-Man 100, baby.
But the Panic Room, I mean, this is what it's called. It was a very different, I think, confrontation, Jed, at the end. And I'm just keen to get your thoughts on how it came about, because it's certainly not a traditional kind of showdown, so to speak, and let alone the outcome too.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandably anticlimactic, I think, and that's kind of the point. In that, it's a bit of a commentary on what you would expect. I mean, a Venom and Moon Knight team up is about like the most 90s team up you can think of, and you expect to have like the big burly brawl at the end. And when they're just like, no, guys, like, no, I surrender, I'm going to jail. There's like, well, screw us, I guess. It's because, I mean, like, ultimately, Sarnak isn't going to fight Moon Knight. Sarnak is not a fighter. He's an evil sound engineer.
Could be Noel. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shout out to Noel. I love you.
But yeah, so it's something that seemed to make sense to me, and I thought it was passingly clever. If people were disappointed with it, I can understand that. That's fine. But it does what I needed it to do, and I think that in part the focus here is on Moon Knight and Venom. Mark and Dylan finding common ground. It's not necessarily on the big punch up. Bad guy goes to jail. Sure, it's a bit of a win, but not really, because he's Mark still doesn't know what he needs to know.
Yeah.
So that is kind of just part and parcel of being a small part of a much bigger story.
Yes. Yeah. And again, also on top of that, having the villain being so smug about handing him, that is not a victory at all. That's kind of like a frustratingly.
No, for sure.
Annoying. Yeah. I love the. Sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just about to say, I love how you framed it, because I didn't consider that about how using Venom and him being so over the top, so 90s. So, there's that, as you say, there's an expectation that there's going to be a huge friggin' fight and brawl, but at the end, it isn't. I didn't consider that, but that actually is quite funny. That's really good. I like it.
Yeah. And I mean, also, a lot of the stuff is stuff that's just amusing to me. Thankfully, people generally like it, but sometimes it doesn't quite hit. So I'm still entertained by it. Other people, maybe not so much, but you know what? That's the nice thing about comic books. If this one didn't work, there's another coming in 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. And I do believe, I think it was a really nice touch. Apparently, Alessandro Capuccio is a huge Venom fan, so he was absolutely excited to draw this. I remember.
Well, yeah, that was why we did this issue. I was like, Alessandro,
nice.
I've asked him to draw like a lot of dumb and irritating stuff and like difficult things. So I was like, listen, what do you want to draw? He's like, yeah, I want to draw Venom. I'm like, all right, well, let's make it happen. So we just came up with a Venom crossover. And, he went over the top. Like, Alessandro, I love Alessandro's Venom. Like at some point in the future, if he's not drawing Moon Knight, I want to see him draw Venom because he's got he uses his tongue as a scarf, which I love. It's it's awesome.
Yeah, he's got, there's that review. I mean, that splash page where Venom's got the chains, and I think Dylan just transforms into him. It's a full page splash of Venom. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
And when they're on their way to the warehouse where Sarnak is, just really, really good stuff.
Because there's a physicality to Alessandro's web slinging, I guess chain slinging Venom, where it looks like it's a rhinoceros flying through the air sky of New York City. It's awesome. It's like, man, I hope he doesn't run into a building or something.
Yeah. Venom isn't subtle, so
no.
He's big and bulky, and he's roided up. Okay, so we got 23 Panic Room. We're at the same time as well, we're edging towards a huge milestone. And Jed, I've just got to say as well, apart from a couple of runs, your run is now kind of one of the longer running ones. So such a great and for it to be such an entertaining run as well. So very happy.
We've been very lucky with kind of the runway we've been given. At the end of the day, it's because Moon Knight makes money, so they keep it going. But generally speaking, that's it. If people are buying it, there must be something they like about it.
Yeah.
Or there must be something they like about it.
It's very well received as well. I mean, we should say that. So
I hope so.
Obviously, why people are buying it. So.
Yeah.
It's because they're enjoying it. So
absolutely. And I don't think we can just place it on the fact that he had a TV show that there's all this interest and it's still.
But it certainly helps.
Well, but
it hasn't helped everyone though. So I mean, that's the interesting thing. I mean, and maybe it's just that right mix of a character people didn't necessarily know very much before they came. It wasn't really up in people's faces. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's like Iron Man was when Iron Man first came out, but I'm also sure there's more interest in Iron Man comics. It's just there's more of them for someone to jump in on. Like you're not going to go see what how the Epic collections are doing and judge that against the MCU. For Moon Knight, there's a much smaller body of work, but then having a sort of new run that's kind of welcoming to new fans because it did take us away from some of the status quo.
Sure.
And given I think everything's helped, but it is interesting that this hasn't really happened to a lot of the other sort of
we didn't see Iron Fist jump up.
No.
Right?
No, exactly.
Sorry.
Rebecca's. I know Rebecca's a huge fan. Yes.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I really love Iron Fist.
Jump into my other podcast. We didn't. But I think that was a more complicated one. I'd say but you could go Luke and Jessica. I mean, they both had smaller runs afterwards, but not these sort of 25 issue, 30 issue runs. So I mean. It's just interesting because people are always talking about that. How do you sort of leverage that wider audience for getting them into comics? And it doesn't always work, but it's kind of really cool that it has worked in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll take it. And ultimately, you guys would probably have a better gauge over that kind of crossover appeal than I would, given that I'm not particularly plugged into the fandom. Whereas you guys have a Moon Knight podcast.
Yeah.
So that's probably something you guys actually would know better than I would, or have like a better.
I mean, I think
perception
I
of
would
how
say
that
that
would
we
work.
definitely saw a lot more people join the group. We definitely saw for the TV show who then sort of stuck around. I mean, like, quite often they'd jump on whatever anyone recommended for Moon Knight, and then and then come to this run when they felt. But I think a lot of the time, because this one's such an easy one to jump in on, it's just been just go read the current one. It's like and then go back and read the other stuff. Like, you're not gonna.
Well, I mean, you never get lost because every issue's filler.
Yeah, and none of you're not well, yeah, exactly. But also, but no, it's not. You know
No,
what I mean.
I know. I'm just joking.
And then, but also, none of these are like the TV show, so you're not going to get. So if you want to know more about the character, I mean, like, before the TV show, someone came. I read the Lemire run with someone, and I was like, "You're not going to get this. This is all jumping back and forward, and this is all going to be very weird to you." And then she was like, "What should I read next?" I'm just go straight to the modern one, like go straight to the current one. So I mean, but it's hard to tell because it could just be comics fans coming out and saying, "Let's give Moon Knight a try." It's always hard to see if it's people new to comics. There's only a few that I know, but I do know that the Facebook group grew massively, and obviously this is the one we're discussing every month. So
I think, Jed, look, I play a straighter kind of route here. I reckon a lot of it, you should just take a lot of the accolades seriously, because
I do.
Because
don't get me wrong, I take them.
Because the TV show was, I mean, and as you're saying, we have a gauge of it as well. The TV show was great. It was fun. It caused it caused a lot of discussions. It was a little quite divisive in a lot of ways as well. But it's been it feels like such a long time since it was out, and it's not like it's
been
still
a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, or even over or something. And it's not like that is carrying. I don't think it's carrying the interest. I think the fact that you've got and you're getting up to issue 30, still it shows and it's selling. I mean that is far beyond, I think, the TV show appeal. And Rebecca, you're right. I mean, we did get a boom in listenerships and in group members, but it waned. It
and also they don't necessarily stick around, right? They read the first trade, and then if it's good, they carry on. I think it is generally just a very, very well received one, and people are really digging it. For all sorts of reasons, and it's kind of pulling together a lot of people. I mean, it's not just. I mean, if it's actually almost the other way. If you look at how many now Moon Knight extras we're getting, it's because the run's successful, right? It's because your run's successful. We wouldn't be getting.
What was four Moon Knights this month?
We'd be. There's four Moon Knights.
Come on,
it's a lot. Great. It's a lot. I've seen way more than I've seen members of my family this month.
For better or worse,
for better or worse. No, always for better, always. Of course. But no, I mean, but that wouldn't happen if the main run wasn't being successful.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
around. So like,
that's the thing. Is like trust me, I'm more than willing to blow up to my own horn. But I also think it's important to kind of acknowledge the external facts of because ultimately having a TV show meant this book existed in the first place.
Right.
And then we have to be thankful for that.
And so like that creates something that can then succeed on more or less its own merits. Like, it's the same thing when we did Black Cat. Black Cat #1 sold like 275,000 copies. It was
I don't say crazy, but I deserved, but crazy.
Well, but no one was buying Black Cat #1 on the strength of the name of Jed MacKay. They were buying it for the swath of variant covers, for the J. Scott Campbell covers, etc., which is fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings that my work was not particularly a big part of that number coming in. What it did mean is that it put that book in that many people's hands, which then allowed it to succeed on its own merits. So it's not something that I'm sore about or like sensitive about. I'll take any advantage I can in this business.
Yeah, and just one other little thing as well. It's only now that we're getting stuff like Layla introduced. So again, that shows it's not like you started the run and then editorial asked you, "Oh, look, we've got this TV show. Can we make it synergize with it straight away?" So I think that is showing the strength of your run. you know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to 25.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, have you guys had David Propose on the show?
No, we've got it in the running.
Okay.
We've got him in. Yeah,
pipeline.
he's keen, and I did say to Erica Schultz as well. We had her recently, and Jed, Rebecca. We're going to have I'd love to have a game show with all three of them. testing.
Oh man, that's going to be embarrassing.
If I'm around,
my mind for trivia is extraordinarily poor.
I'm so bad. Ray has to make questions for me.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
I can tailor
about
questions.
Boxer shorts and Mark Spector.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the only thing I'll get right is which issues was he wearing the mask and boxer shorts.
Yeah, there will be a question about boxer shorts. Don't worry. So yes, we're hoping to have him on soon, Jed. We're really loving City of the Dead as well.
Good.
Now we're getting towards issue 25, so we're up to 24. Again, we do get a classic villain, Morpheus, one of my favorites. This was really cool. Ill met by moonlight, and it's
right.
It's just so good. I mean, it's so good on all levels. The dreamscape moments at the beginning. Sabatini's art was really good. I thought very strong in this.
Yeah, he's really been like, if you go back to the first issue that Federico did to what he's doing now, you can like really see him stepping it up as as these couple of years have gone by. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so we get Mark or Moon Knight thrust in this mind battle with Morpheus. He's trying to get him, and he's being thrown all these kind of dreams at him. Before we get into the whole crux of that, Jed, I have to ask you. Rebecca and I wondered, Mighty Mailman. Now, are we going to see more of this dude? The Mighty Mailman.
Yeah, the Mighty Mailman.
Never say never. Perhaps this dream inspired him to become a superhero in real life, or perhaps, maybe he's got some sort of residual dream power now. And he's riding that mail truck through the realms of nightmare or something.
Team up with Sleepwalker.
Yeah, you want to talk about a book that will sell negative copies? The Mighty Mailman
Rick will buy every single one of them.
The Mighty Mailman teams up with Sleepwalker, somehow an even less popular character.
But an amazing. I mean, that just stuck out like a sore thumb. I remember we were just going, we've got to ask Jed about this because it was just out of left field. But anyway, the rest of the issue was, I think, was really good. It was a nice dive, and it kind of culminates in Morpheus. I've got the quote here: "I've never met anyone as willing to throw away happiness." And he tries to figure out what's happening with Moon Knight. Just like, no, that's not what I want, or I'm not happy with that. And he goes, "Well, how about a whole pile of dead bodies with you fighting on it?"
Yeah. How about just like endless enemies for you to fight?
Yeah, but I love the sympathetic take towards Morpheus was cool, and the big thing he reveals the name Black Spectre, which we know now. So that kind of got us moving forward. He unfortunately dies, but again, as you say, Jed, never say never. Morpheus,
well, the thing is what, at least the second, possibly the third time Morpheus has died.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. This guy dying, it's not that big a deal for him. It's not like, he'll never appear in a comic book again.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't worry too much about your favorite Moon Knight villain like being gone forever.
No, absolutely
you brought
not.
us back Stained Glass Scarlet, so
Sure. Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, just say in a very different light as well, which is I loved Stained Glass Scarlet that way.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that one.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I think that's still one of my favorite issues in the series.
I just love it. I mean,
so good.
It feels weird because I'll always say, I really always love when Stained Glass Scarlet's in, and then you gave us another one. I'm like, oh yeah, that can carry on. Then that's good.
And a very different one. It was just so good.
Beautiful art as well for that one.
That was a real step up for Alessandro.
Yeah.
Because they had possibly the most obnoxious thing to draw. It's like, just draw like thousands of panes of stained glass. It's no big deal.
That's right.
I'll chuck you a Venom a little ways down the line.
Yeah, I was about to say, hence issue 23.
I think I own a whole Venom series at some point or something. Because, geez, the amount of work that guy has to do.
Yeah. but Morpheus was cool. Again, his powers fluctuated and differed throughout his time in the comics, and I loved how you took on, I guess, the more later interpretation of it about him projecting dreams and stuff. So he's a lot more powerful than what you'd say the Mensch run. So
yeah, because I mean, then he just essentially had, for I don't think it actually was called out as Dark Force. It's just essentially Dark Force, in energy or whatever.
Yes. Yeah,
but yeah, I thought that, the dream stuff was a lot of fun. We got to see the Mighty Mailman when Mark fell into the mailman's dream by mistake.
Yes,
we got to see some bits from the other alters as well. Yeah, it was a good time, but I mean, again, it was all just for that moment where you get Black Spectre on the page.
Black Spectre, yeah. I think a lot of people we're all obviously very much speculating as to who it would be. So I know there were a few very happy loonies
speculating.
Speculating, yes. Speculating.
I can't say that. Ray manager, you just did a great job on it. I just can't. I'm like, Mighty Mailman was enough of a tongue twister for me.
Yeah.
I don't say speculate anymore. I say speculate all the time. Speculate. Okay, so now we're on the huge, enormous 25th issue. Awesome stuff. I love this. There's so much going on, and it really did feel, Jed, like they're kind of bringing everything together, most notably with all the past villains or foes that Moon Knight had fought in your run. Having a little bit of a bite at him, thanks to Black Spectre being revealed. I don't know. I guess take us through any highlights of writing this, and were you happy? Did you feel like it really
came together?
You made the 25th issue that you wanted to make, like, because it's a milestone.
Yeah, I know for sure. Because originally it was supposed to be, I think, 30 pages. And then I was still in England visiting my in-laws, and my wife and I were at the Royal Ballet or whatever. And I was just like checking my phone before I started, and I got an email from Tom. He's like, "Listen, it's not 30 pages now; it's 70 pages. So figure out how many of those. I think it's actually 80. Let me cut it back down to 70. So figure out how many pages you want, and then we'll split up the rest for like backups for other writers and artists." And my immediate thought was like, how can I let him give me all 70 pages? I'm like, I don't want to share this with anyone. I want the full full meal. I want the whole pie for myself, because anytime you're writing comics, almost every issue, like, man, I wish I had a couple more pages. Man, I wish I had a couple more pages. And now I had this is 3.5 issues worth of story. So, like, it's essentially a mini series.
Yeah.
So, I spent all this time trying to, when I was in England, then on the plane home, trying to figure out how to convince Tom to let me have all 70 pages. And I was like, had this very delicately planned out email. I'm like, Tom, I have a crazy idea, but just hear me out, because I think this could be a really great opportunity. And it's really in that vein. And he sent it back. He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, if you think you can do it, go ahead. And I was like, all right. And I was like, great. Then it was kind of like a dog that catches the car moment. And I'm like, shit, I got to write a 70 page issue,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really great. And then, Tom was like, well, listen, this is going to be an expensive issue. It's a big milestone, and we really need a hook so retailers can have confidence in it. And I was like, well, I had been thinking of bringing in, Layla Al-Fuli to be in the comic, because she was a super popular part of the TV show.
Yeah.
And
a great addition to the TV.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the best. I love the TV show, but that was so good. And
she was such a standout performance, and in a show of standout performances.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think that could be fun. It's it's a first appearance. Retailers like that, collectors like that. Just from the sheer dollars and cents sign, it makes a lot of sense, and from story wise, I think it makes a lot of sense too. It's I was like, so that could be cool. That could be a big thing we could bring in, because already I think I've been watching these stylish heist mercenary assassin movies and stuff. I'm like, well, I want to do an old Mark Spector mercenary mission, so like good. Him and Plesko and Frenchie and whoever else. And I was like, well, I can put Layla in that. So I had watched that movie Saloon before we left, and then I think I watched Bullet Train on the plane home. And I'm just like, just these, a stylish assassin team getting up to shenanigans. Like that, I could do that in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
So that all just kind of dovetailing together. And Tom's like, well, yeah, you can do that, but we didn't tell you, but we're also doing a Moon Knight miniseries called City of the Dead, where we're going to bring her in. And I was like, for fuck's sakes. But it actually worked out. Like it
worked out perfectly.
It does fit.
Because I was like, well, I'll bring her in.
Yeah, you get the first appearance.
And then, kill her. And then because me and again, like I didn't feel bad, where I was like, oh, I feel bad bringing this character to kill you. Like she was going to be dead at the beginning of City of the Dead anyway. It's not City of the Alive,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that works out because we got her training up 25. And you want to know more? Here's an entire miniseries about it.
Yeah, perfect. It was perfect. A bit of a boring question. Was it practicality, or was it a decision to share the artwork? Because I think it worked really well by having that Merc, the Karnak Cowboys with a different artist.
Yep.
But having said that, it's a supersized issue, so I'm not sure if Alessandro could have taken it all on board.
No. I mean, he could if he started, with an extra couple months.
Yeah.
But this is an ongoing series, right?
Yeah.
So Alessandro did his 30-some pages as was originally planned out for his schedule. And then had Alessandro Vitti, who I worked with in Taskmaster in for the Karnak Cowboys story, because he's just really good at that kind of like,
he's so good,
action, espionage, Metal Gear Solid kind of stuff. And then Partha Pratim, who I'd never seen before, did some like really great stuff with Black Spectre and Zodiac. So he was a dude I was super impressed with. Being the first time I'd seen his work. 70 pages. Sure, you could have one artist do it if you give him a lot of time to do it. And when you're running an ongoing series, you don't really have that time.
Yeah, right. It's probably just me not really realizing, artists need a lot of time to draw it. But that was really good. I think they worked really well together. The Karnak Cowboys segment was, the art was so appropriate, as you mentioned, for it. It just had that really good feel of really grounded.
Yeah,
it's just a humans.
It's those guys with knives and guns and cars and Hydra aircraft stuff like that.
But we do get like the more fantastic side of things with the Kavuchia side, and I love the callback to like the Rampage, Manslaughter, Marsdale, Man Mountain Marco. Like I did not expect to see him there. He gets a bit of he gets closure, doesn't with it. But I love the eyes, because for those listeners, we saw him last in Devil's Reign.
Yep.
He got his eyes gouged out by Moon Knight. This was just really fun, and we get a little bit of more of development on 8-Ball. The huge betrayal. To begin with, it's like, what you bastard! But then,
what do you expect to happen?
I had faith.
You had faith.
Come on, he's a good guy.
No better adversary than Waxman, who was pretty much taking Moon Knight to town until 8-Ball with his stick comes in.
Moon Knight really only beat Waxman in the first place because he ambushed him. So when the ambush shoe was on the other foot. It didn't go particularly well for him, being drowned in a tide of insane wax. Yeah,
it was really cool because he had the eyeballs, and it was a lot more. Yeah, it was very like heroic.
Yeah, it just like it was completely just. I mean, that was the whole thing when he buried him alive. He's like, you're going to go completely insane because of this, and I think you should because I don't like you. And then
exactly,
be careful what you wish for. It's a taste of his own medicine. It was interesting because I think the first draft of the script, Man Mountain Marco, wasn't in it. It was Jigsaw in that place. But then I sent him the script. I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen Jigsaw in a while. And I went and looked. I was like, oh, he's dead now. So I'm like emergency revision. Jigsaw's out. Man Mountain Marco is in.
Right. Oh, that's great. It's great to hear about the behind the scenes there. Because I forgot Jigsaw did play a part earlier on when I think Mr. Knight went to the bar. With
it was the.
Oh, was it? Oh.
With the one with Stuart Clark.
Oh, yes.
And then again when they went to rescue Dr. Sturman.
Right. Yes. So Jigsaw's a cool villain, but I didn't know he died as well.
All right, they're all dying at the moment.
Zale.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
It's a tough gig.
It's a tough gig.
It's tough being a street level superhero comic. I'll tell you that much.
That's it. I know. If the Punisher doesn't get you, then something else will.
Yeah.
So we're up to date now. Issue 26.
Yeah, these are the ones we all missed because you were having a baby and I was in America. So.
Oh yes, that's right.
That'll do it.
Personality crisis. This was again cool. It's keeping in theme. Jed, Dr. Sturman now has Hunter's Moon on the couch, and we get a little bit more of what's happening.
Good turnaround, yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca, you love Vibro. I know that's for sure.
You know, I love a deep dive Iron Man one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, finally
something for me. Yeah. It's because he was like,
no, I claimed Hart Island from 25 because that's my surname.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there you go. Sure.
Yeah, no, I totally claimed that. I was like, that's we're good.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's good getting into Hunter's Moon and sort of again showing what's going on with other people while Moon Knight is getting his ass whipped out on Hart Island. And it was fun. I really wanted to get back to Hunter's Moon preaching to the Moloids because it's something that came to mind as soon as I wrote 19. And I was like, gotta get back there with Hunter's Moon and these Moloids. Because he's like,
they'll love it.
Because he's like so stern and like borderline a dick. And then you see him like talking to these Moloids. He's just like, what's up? We're pals.
Yeah, exactly. It was good, and the big revelations here were, I guess, about the first. Drawing back to the Jason Aaron run. I think it was Jason Aaron or the Kang annual. I can't remember.
No, this is the Caveman one from the
Jason Caveman Aaron one. Stuff, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So. Yes, the other one was another actually cool one from the Kang annual.
Mesopotamian.
Mesopotamia. Yeah, that was a really good look. But the Caveman from Jason Aaron run, and how it's really messing up with Hunter's Moon, and this ties in with his resurrection, how things went totally correct, I guess, or as things should have gone.
Yeah, I mean, his resurrection was basically KHONSHU's kind of last gasp of what he could do while he was in jail. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And as such, these these personalities, these personas of the other fists that are essentially stored in the chorus in his head are breaking through. He's having a harder time putting them down because, like, you see, there's that 9-panel fight where it alternates between Hunter's Moon beating people up and then the others who are, it's meant to imply that he's channeling their skills in order to fight that. He doesn't have a bunch of ghosts hanging out with him. But the barriers between his personality and his persona and these dead people are weakening, and he's having a harder time dismissing them or keeping them at bay. And as we saw in the case of the first fist.
Yeah.
So
it was really good. Again. Being slightly irreverent here, Rebecca and I had a little bit of fun with Jonathan Hickman's input into the issue.
Yeah, that's. I'm not. We probably shouldn't revise that.
Okay. I won't delve into. I thought it was
really, significant input there.
It was. Yeah, it was kind of like Jed gets his name on there, Jonathan gets his name on there. You look at that page. What is it? I thought it was a wall panel for like an AV screen or a air conditioning. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool.
No, it's something from God's. The specifics of
which sounds great. Not dissing gods.
Sure.
No, not at all.
Sounds great, but it is funny having it like on the front cover there and just getting to it and going, oh, okay, and then moving on.
It is funny because it's like that was a very kind of low key one, and I also had one in Doctor Strange. There was like a whole page of Doctor Strange chatting with one of the other characters.
Right.
So it's a real land of contrast.
Yeah, no, I read one of the other ones and it was like, well, that was a lot more. Moon Knight just got this little almost shrug. But sometimes, like for Hickman comics, sometimes they're the more interesting pages. You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
there'll
be a run on Moon Knight 26 once God comes out and everyone wants to see that page. But
Yeah. So
it never hurts to have something to bump sales anyway, right? So
like I said, I'll take whatever.
yeah,
take it.
but I mean, it's a great issue. Another great issue, I'd say, for someone to jump in at, even if they didn't 100% know what was going on. It's just like, for an insight into some of the things you've added to Moon Knight. You know, like sort of say, you know, we're used to seeing Mark and his alters, and now you get Hunter's Moon and this different struggle with
like it's
having the god in your head, and when something goes wrong, and having these, you know, it's a little introduction to a lot of the things you've brought in. So
and it's, you know, it's I want to check in with, because I mean, I've been wanting to say, because, you know, we've laid the seed that his resurrection didn't go fully correctly, and it's kind of high time to pay it off. And it seems like a good point to do so, because again, like the events of this issue will lead directly into the next issue, which I guess that's 26, 27, then it's 28, 29, 30. So like 28 kicks off this, you know, this 3-part story where it's all going down, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 26, like there's a through line from 26 right into 27, which then kicks off everything from 28, 29, and 30.
Yeah.
And, you know, with number 27, you will see one of the villains from this run that did not appear in Heart Island.
Oh, God, I'm immediately racking my mind as to who, but okay, cool. Yeah, love it. Well, it's on, was it next week? It's very close. We're very close.
Yeah, it's the 6th, I believe. So I guess that would be next week.
Next
week, yeah. We haven't got long, loonies, and don't worry, Rebecca and I will be covering it soon as well. So that kind of brings us up there, Jed. It's really cool. Looking forward to it. I feel one of just the final comments, I guess, for 26, you know, with all your characters like Reese, same with Soldier as well, but in particular with Hunter's Moon, I'd love to see how other writers play with your toy, basically, because Hunter's Moon is such a cool character, and I think
Jody Hauser had him in that Ms. Marvel Moon Knight.
Yes, that was a really good.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun too.
That was lovely. Yeah.
Beautifully drawn as well. I remember. That really enjoyed that. Yeah, you're right. So he has been used already, but this whole thing about him being conflicted now with the chorus and the first, I think there's a lot of potential to tell really fun stories. Now, before we go, I'm mindful of the time, Jed, as well, and it has just dropped. So let me just put it. I'm not going to show everything because I don't want to get into any trouble.
Are we going to spoil it? No, we're not going to spoil it.
Okay, maybe we won't spoil it.
Are we going to do a podcast on it, Ray? Are we going to meet again for this or not? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's up to you guys. Like, when does this episode come out?
This will probably this coming weekend, so a few days from now.
Oh, we could spoil it.
That'd be fine.
Okay, cool. I don't want to show all the pages.
No, but can we talk about Mark and Tigers, please?
So this is, we are talking about Moon Knight annual 1 pause. Okay, 2023. I can't for the life of me pronounce the gentleman's name.
I like that Mark struggled to.
Taguchi.
Taguchi. Okay. Cool.
Which again, I may not be pronouncing it terribly well either, but that's how I've always said it.
Yeah. So this was part 4 of the Contest of Chaos. I totally forgot Contest of Chaos was out. I wanted to follow it. So I've been thrown into part 4, but I get the gist of it from this annual Jed. Rebecca, any initial thoughts or overall impressions for it?
I really liked it. I appreciated seeing all the different variants, and the tiger one did make me laugh and make complete sense. But I was like, he's having a bit of a run on tigers this year.
Because that was actually
let me see if I can pull that one.
That was actually Creese's creation, because I had an extra fight sequence with another 2 sets of alternate versions of them, and that got cut. But also I had like a Taguchi, kind of like a what if kind of thing. It was like, what if he was from North Korea instead of South Korea? And that was the script, and it came back and like, we judge this might be a bit culturally insensitive. I'm like, you know what, fair enough. And Crease is like, well, listen, I think he said I did a commission or something of drawing like Taguchi as this tiger God. I'm like, sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
Works for me.
But I just thought it added a lot of, and again, sort of, I would say one of the things you've been pulling off in Moon Knight, and no one else has really tried as much, like swerving away from the fight to give us something an unexpected conclusion to a fight, which like I appreciated. I laughed. I enjoyed it. I was like, that makes sense. It makes sense for Mark. And I thought it was a really fun issue.
Yeah.
It's like essentially it's a bit of fun. It's they have the Etium crystals, and Etium is from like AC in French is like, which is for what if. Yeah. And so essentially this is like what if Moon Knight and Taeguki of like them, different versions of them from across the multiverse or whatever. And because at first I got an email from Lindsay. She's like, yeah, I'm putting together Moon Knight Annual. It's gonna be Contest of Chaos, Moon Knight versus Taeguki. Do you want to write it? I'm like, sure, because I'm very jealous with my Moon Knight stuff. I'm like, if anyone's gonna write it, if anyone's gonna write it, I'm gonna write it. This is my series. Yeah. But then I was like, how the hell is this fight gonna work? Moon Knight will turn up and like Taeguki will turn into just like a red paste for like a kilometer down the road. So I really had to think of a way that this could be anywhere near not a fair fight, but at least a fight, as opposed to an execution. So
I think it's good. Look, I mean, overall, I really appreciated the lighter tone, and Jed, I gathered from it, since it's an annual and since it's away from his series, you're able to like play a bit more with it, and it still has the bones of your Moon Knight from your series, but it's a very different thing. I was just chatting with someone else on our Discord, and they were kind of like, oh, it doesn't, it's got a different feel, but I think it's part of Contest of Chaos, and it has it's just inherently got this different feel to it anyway. So it was a different ride, and as you say, it's kind of like a what if. It's something that is very much like this issue exists to be part of Contest of Chaos. It falls within the remit of Contest of Chaos. You can have two heroes. They're all heroes, fighting. And that is what it is. We had some kind of goofy stuff with Captain Crescent from the United States of KHONSHU. Yeah. But then the last two, they're deadly serious. A Mark who has murdered KHONSHU, and a Taeguki who is like fully in the prime of his powers. So yeah, that was really good. I loved Rebecca said I love the different versions of it. Looking at the art over here again, apologies, we do have video for those that are listening to the podcast. You can go check it out on the YouTube channel. But KHONSHU's skull within that kind of scepter was really cool, and the blood on his arm just to indicate that he has done some deeds to get where he is. This was just really fun, and you can have fun with it because it's not going to really impact. Look, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, Jed? The Contest of Chaos. I haven't read the others, but there aren't any ramifications down the line for the universe, right? It sounds like it's just
I mean, not for Moon Knight.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to read the other ones as well.
I've only
but it just sounds like a really
ones. So
it's an annual event, right? So
yeah. So it's
as in it takes place in annuals, not that it happens every year.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I should clarify that.
Annual event. Yeah, exactly. The return to
we've already got the Hellfire Gala enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed the art, and I really had not much interaction with Tiger Division, so it was fun to see Taeguki, just to know what sort of dude he is. But yeah,
it was fun to get back to him too, because Alessandro Vidi and I created him in Taskmaster,
right?
So it was good to get back to the dude.
Yeah. Get your two dudes together.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of fun there. I mean, I don't know, Rebecca, any other thoughts on the annual?
No, I just really enjoyed it. I literally read it just before.
Yeah.
It was just a pretty solid annual as far as annuals go. And then there's a little extra thinking from Stephanie Phillips. Just moving on.
It's tying all the stuff together.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this kind of brings all the annuals. Do you know how many? Sorry, Jed. might as well ask you how many parts this Contest of Chaos is. Is it?
Oh, I have no idea.
No,
I
okay.
don't know either.
It's just,
it's not a huge number, but
I barely know what's going on in my own books, let alone everybody else's.
Because I might just I don't know. It does sound like fun, and I'm thinking of maybe getting in the trade or something, getting the collection, depending on how big it is. But yeah, it's cool. So with that, I mean, Jed, thank you so much for your time.
No, not at all. Always happy to catch up.
It's always great to have you on the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like just thinking about when the next time will be is almost like, bringing me down a bit. But,
Oh yeah, Jed.
Well, maybe we can get together after number 30.
Yeah.
If that's
no,
cool.
I think we should. I think I mean, like, no.
Do
there will be an accounting. So
dare to say a post-mortem.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. To bring drinks along.
You should. He's already. We've already titled that episode. The post-mortem.
The post-mortem. Yeah, that's actually very good. We'll do that. I think this one is the Revenge of Jed. This episode. Jed, thank you
not Vengeance of the Jed.
No.
That'll be like when you come back to do some like annuals and stuff. Then we'll.
Yeah, I think I'd probably Vengeance of you guys at that point.
I cannot wait for this next
Please
meeting.
Please don't say that, because then I'll start worrying.
A huge thanks, Jed. And before we let you go as well, of course, anything that you'd like to let our fair listeners know about, what they can pick up?
We got Moon Knight out next week. Moon Knight number 27? Yeah. 27. Which we're getting some weird stuff. Federico Sabatini is on the pencils, and as well, just other stuff. Doctor Strange, I think, is also out that day, and then Avengers towards the end of the month. So
that's going well as well. So
it's been a good time, and then we got some secret stuff coming down the pipe.
Good.
And they're keeping me pretty busy. It's pretty exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward to that getting announced and people seeing what's happening next.
Nice. I'm about to say, like, I understand now why you have a beard, Jed. You're so busy, like with all with all these things running. Just a quick question as well. So, did you have the Marvel Summit? Like, isn't there a bit where you guys go on a retreat and
we still do those
brainstorm? Yeah, is that?
Yeah, like it's been on Zoom since I started working for the company. Actually, I think the first live one is going to be this fall since the pandemic started.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So that'll be good. It beats the hell out of. I mean, it's traveling and staying in a hotel and stuff, but it's also better than being on Zoom for like 7 hours in a day, which is just you're just inexplicably sweaty. Even though you didn't do anything. So
I just find I forget what I'm doing, and then suddenly like I was at this meeting yesterday and just totally forgot I started talking to my cat in the middle of it because it was going on so long.
that would do it.
It's just like it just goes so long that you just kind of forget there's other people there looking at everything you're doing as well as sort of
Yeah, that's at least with those big Marvels. There's just like 60 people in the room, so you may not even be on the same page of like windows as everybody else.
Yeah, well, no, that's cool. I can't wait to see what this super secret stuff here, what it is all about. Should be cool.
It's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff coming up end of 2023 into 2024. So
that's so
awesome. Always good to hear.
Awesome. Listeners, by the time you listen to this, of course, you can catch it on video as well. You can check out Jed's beard as well.
Such as it is.
As well as go through the comic book covers from the comics we just discussed as well. As always, you can contact us on feedback@itkmoonnight.com. We've got a website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Rebecca, I will get the blue sky thing happening.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moving
so we'll be on that.
Dragging you over to Blue.
So I'll lay that on. And yes, you can catch us also on Discord as well. We have a lot of fun discussions there. And thank you everyone who just kept on listening as well. A big thank you to all our Patreon members, our sponsors as well. So a big shout out to all our patronies, as well as CLZ Comics and Dreamland Comics from Schulenburg, Illinois. Next episode, of course, Rebecca and I will be back. We'll be looking at 27, so can't wait for that. And Jed, once again, thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back for the final leg.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, eh?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Kind of.
with dread.
With dread, with with bated breath.
Not dread, but a little bit of
trepidation.
Trepidation, yeah.
Yes.
I trust you to do a good story for it. So sorry.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a given.
I wouldn't do you dirty.
Yeah.
Thanks once again, everyone, and as always, may KHONSHU watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.